Right then, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RECON 2017. It is my pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker. He is a proud Emirati, he's a writer, he's a TV presenter, he's a speaker, but first and foremost, he is a cultural consultant. It's his mission to help the world better understand Arab culture. And as I think we all know, whether or not we live in this region, there are many misunderstandings about Arab culture. Not just people who live outside it, from expatriates like myself as well, guilty as charged. It's our next speaker's mission to alter those preconceptions. He's doing that by traveling the world. He was telling me that just last week he notched up his 111th country as he travels the globe, spreading this message of what the Arab world is really about. His TED Talk on this subject, his TED Talk, Cultural Identity, has been watched 50,000 times. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker today, Ali Al-Saloom.
Yeah.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
Thank you so much. All right. Take my wallet off. Assalamu alaikum. All right, hope you had a good break. Such a great honor to be invited again to a RECON event here in Dubai, this time after being in Saudi Arabia a few months ago. Of course, I'd like to thank Dave for the lovely invitation, and of course, my partner, Right Selection, for having me and for choosing me to be actually in this lovely event here in my beloved city, Dubai. Since already you had a lot of lovely, I could see that everybody went through a very lovely session this morning, and the event is so unique because it actually covers a very important and dynamic industry like what we are experiencing here in Dubai, that everybody's coming from around the world to actually come here for shopping. And my background is in actually culture, so it was very interesting to think of something that actually could be of a benefit to all of the people who are actually coming here for such a cause. And so I thought of an interesting title which I'll share in shortly, and you can also read it on of course, the invitation for this event. But I'll try my best to actually go through some stories, and at the end I'm going to bring all of that into one story, and then we'll wrap it up. So that goes quickly for you as an agenda. It's true, I've just finished my 111 destination around the world. Such a great privilege to actually have the chance to travel the world. And I have to tell you, traveling around the world kind of makes you understand that everywhere around the world is really, in a way, is not as fast as here things are going in the Arab world, and specifically in Dubai. I could see that we are really running so quickly, jumping, by 10 years, ahead of everybody. And I don't know if that is so positive or so negative, but I understand it's different. And everybody has to cope with this, very challenging, process of growing so quickly. How could you actually face this? And now being in the retail industry, which as an outsider I could experience and I could feel how dynamic it is and how things are always different, and you have a different management running different kind of products, and then the next thing you have to cope with the fashion, and then you have to cope with the challenges. And of course, because it's very dynamic and it's also very lovely and great and makes business, there is also challenges. And now how people actually overcome these challenges is only when you think quality, and that's the title of my talk. Thinking quality is something that people might think that is just a beautiful thing to say, have a good, quality, thoughts, and that's it. But reality is, quality is not exactly how we think or project in our own mind, because what is quality? If you actually ask yourself right now about your own product, what is quality to you? How exactly do you actually measure that? Now, coming from a cultural background, I really have no idea how you could only just think that this culture has more quality than the other, because that's completely wrong. All cultures are beautiful, all cultures are unique, and all cultures actually, in a way, complement each other, in many different ways. One civilization leaves something for the other, and so on and so on. And so, when I think of the word quality, I find it very interesting to actually focus on. Now, I want to take you into a little bit of, many years ago in 1997. I remember how my father came to me and tried to engage me. Now, imagine I'm a customer, and he's actually the one who actually provides the service. And what's a father service every time to his child when he's about to choose a major? Is telling him, choose this major. This major is better than the other one. He's trying to sell it. So in my mind, many people probably don't know, but I was actually dreaming of becoming a pilot. And since I was young, I was like, thinking of really going to be an amazing pilot, traveling around the world and all of that. However, that dream did not come true at that time, because my father had a different vision for me. My mom as well, it was her choice. She said to my father, I don't want my son to be a pilot. We've already lost one member in the family. I don't want to lose another one. We had a family case, so we couldn't really continue to achieve that dream. So my father came to me and said, why don't you choose hospitality? Now just imagine in 1997, and I come from a city, a small town that is really in the middle of the desert, like really, And so my father says, why don't you join hospitality? And in my mind, I'm like, hospitality, oh my goodness, no, I'm not gonna do that. Hospitality is not really my thing, and I don't want to become a doctor. I didn't even know what hospitality means. I thought it meant actually hospitals. So that ignorancy in me, and I was the best student in English, by the way, in my classroom, believe it or not. So I told my father, no, I don't want to become a doctor. My father said, it has nothing to do with hospitals. Hospitality means travel and tourism. And this nation, the future of it is actually going to be in tourism. 1997, hardly there is so much, hotels everywhere, maybe probably few. There was not anything called, business tourism and leisure and MICE business meetings and stuff. That did not exist at that time. And so there was no any experience behind it. However, there was a story. The way how my father, spoke to me, the way how he actually engaged me, it was perfect. Check what he did. He looked at me and said, son, you're actually going to be the first Emirati in this field if you graduate. Look at these words that actually plays a role in us here in the region. The minute somebody says to us, you're going to be the first, the largest, the biggest, the highest, the tallest, something happens, some magical thing happens and you just get into it. So I was like, what? I'll be the first Emirati who's studying this major, which I don't even know what it is? Yeah, perfect, it's perfect. Now from my side, it's a bit silly, but from my father's side, it's a perfect engagement way to actually convince me and engage me. And then he says, and this is very simple, it's very easy. Another important factor when you're engaging people from the Arab world, simplify it, don't make it so complicated. And so my father goes and says, it's very simple. There is nothing into it. You actually just serve people. After you serve people, people say thank you, and then you say you're welcome. If you want to be perfect, you will smile. This is hospitality. Khali wali done. I was like, my goodness, this is just amazing. It's so simple. It doesn't require math. I really hated math at that time. And then the third factor, my father goes and says, and you know what? You're actually going to, when one day, Baba Zayed, the father of the nation, the leadership, would be so proud of you. This is it. I'm going to get into this major, which I have no idea what it is. That approach, that strategy was a story. It's worth to be shared. A story how that father engaged his son without forcing. It was just, doing this to him, lightful, very nice. And then, and I'm coming to this because this is going to play a huge, role in this story. And then I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to go for this. And I did. It was amazing. I went to America. First, I went to UK. Anyone from UK here? Yeah, my father really wanted me to get the British accent, but I failed so badly. And my father said, this is it. You failed in English. We're sending you to America. You can't just learn this so quickly. So I went to America. And I got of course, my English course and all of that. And because I've never been to private sector, this is basically my Bedouin English. And it works. It kind of takes me from a place to a place. So I got back. And then, so from that part, I was like, okay. So I came back, in case you're wondering. I came back and I was, of course, what? The first Emirati with a real certificate in hospitality management. That's a long story there, but I'm just telling you that I graduated in 2003, and I came back to my country, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. My mom threw this big party in the town. Everybody is saying to her, "Hey, Mother of Ali, what's this?" She's like, "I've actually, my son is the first, in this major. It's such a great thing." And they're like, "What did he actually graduate in?" And she says, "I don't know, but he's actually, he's the first in this thing, whatever it is, but he's the first." So that's what really matters to my mom, is that, I was the first in this major. So, you could tell that wherever you are, priorities differs from a place to a place. Everybody have their own different way and different priorities of what really important to them. In one way, safety could be the most important thing, and the other company or other organization, they probably see that, R&D is much more important. And there are other organizations who focus on the story. Moving on, I did actually have my first job. And when I had my first job, I was like so ready, Look, I was the first Emirati to have hospitality degree, properly with a certificate, and I worked for many organizations in America. I actually was, doing well in English. I speak a bit Korean. I understand German. So I had some good qualities that makes me like really good for becoming a GM. So then not only I'm the first Emirati to become, with a certificate in hospitality, but I would become the first Emirati GM, for a hotel. And so my father says, "Get ready, tomorrow I'm taking you to your first job." I was like, what an amazing connection we have. That's actually in Chinese, huanxi, and in Arabic, we call it wasta. Good connection. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to be the first, general manager of a hotel. So my father takes me, and he looks at me, and he have that beautiful smile like this. Now, very nice smile, and he looks at me, and as I'm walking to the car, I open the car, I get into the car, and it's about half a drive to go to the hotel that I was supposed to go and work at. We arrive, I remember looking at my father, and I'm so proud. And in case you think that this is true story, I'll prove it to you in many different ways. But I actually reached to a real hotel in the UAE. My father says, "Good luck, son." I open the door. I walk all the way to the main gate. I look at the person who's actually opening the gate there, his name is Radwan. He's been in that hotel for about 7 years at that time. Today he reaches about 30 years working, in all of this major of hospitality. And I shake his hand and I say, "Yes, my name is Ali As-Saloom. I'm ready for my job." And he looks at me and he says, "Congratulations, this is your job." And I look at him and I say, "Excuse me? But how? No, inside?" No, he said, this is going to be your office. You're going to open doors, and and this is your job." I said, "Wait a minute." So I go to my father. "Dad, this guy is saying that I will be doorman? I will be bawab? Me?" My father looks at me. Remember that smile? He looks at me and he goes, "Son, not only are you going to be the first Emirati in hospitality, you're going to be the first Emirati doorman. How is that? Isn't that amazing?" It's a story. It's a true story. So then I'm like, I thought my father was, joking or crazy. My mom is calling him on the phone, and she's like shouting at him. And she's asking for a divorce. Why? Because she's like, "What? My son, the first Emirati in hospitality, he's going to be the first Emirati bawab. It's going to be crazy. How am I going to find him a wife? Nobody will accept him at all in this part of the world." And I was like, oh my goodness, there we go now. So I said to my father, "Dad, why?" He says to me, "Son, you want to become a GM of a hotel. I ask you for the love of God. How are you going to be a GM and you don't even know what is a doorman? You don't even know how to open a door." And I said, "Do you need science to open a door?" My father says to me, and I never forget it. He says, "Son, to everything there is a science. To everything. Once you show that respect to that door, then you will no longer see it as a door. You're going to see that piece of wood or glass as the people's mind and heart, and you're going to open their mind and heart, and it's going to be much more than that one day." And I looked at him and thank you. I didn't understand really, but it was so powerful. Many people come to us, customers, and they say something to us, organizations. And then you have two approaches. You look at them, okay, thank you, bravo, thank you, and you leave. And then sometimes there's people who listen, not just hear. They listen to how their story is being perceived outside of the building or that shop. And how do you take that story and what you make with it? That is thinking quality. How can you really, honestly, truly be able to overcome a challenge if you really can understand and appreciate the power of word, the power of the story? And so from that point, I looked at my father's eyes and I could see it in his eyes, and I swear to you, my father comes to me and say, son, I already can see it. One day, you're gonna be on a stage. People gonna come and listen to your story. This is gonna be an inspiration. What? You want to be speaking to people that your father is rich and this and this and that? No, you built yourself, within yourself, and you've studied and you worked hard. Start from this. This is gonna take you everywhere. And believe it or not, I actually look at my father. In our own culture, you either kiss your father's head or forehead or his hand. I did all of them. I looked at them, very carefully. I loved my father so much. He was like my grandizer. He was like, the hero of everything. I looked at him and I just never looked back. I went back to Radwan, which is the doorman. I apologized to him and I said, I'm ready to take this role. And I did take that role. So, ladies and gentlemen, the person is on this stage, it was actually a doorman. I'm a doorman, and I still be proud of my first job. I was a doorman, and I still see myself a doorman. However, I did today see that my role is actually to open people's mind and heart, to understand more about our own region, and to know us better. And that taught me a very important quality lesson. Quality equals to not just, customer results or your own company performance. Nah. Quality means your story. Quality is a story. And you are in an organization, ladies and gentlemen, and you are the storyteller. So the question to you right now, how much do you believe in the story that you represent? And how good of a storyteller are you about your own brand? This is my brand. Let me prove it to you quickly. For the people who've ever seen me before speaking, people in Saudi Arabia, were you there? Anybody from Saudi Arabia when I went there? What was the color of my dress? Same. I have more than one, not just this one, but I'm just saying. It was brown. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been wearing brown Kandura as a brand for the past 14 years. 14 years, I've never changed it. I wear, of course, white. I do have other Kanduras, the dress. But as a brand, as my quality story that I've never changed, I'm the same in terms of how I look, and it's my dedication to myself. And I'm just an individual. I'm just an individual for my own, not even under a management or a company. So I believe truly that any organization, if it has any problem when it comes to communication, not really doing very well, the results are not very positive, you're facing some challenges, the environment is changing. The reality of that, let me tell you, it's simple. You have a problem in the storytelling of your own brand. Simple as that. That goes under communication, not accepting each other, not really having a very cool way to share, your own brand to other people. And it's a proven thing that I've seen from everywhere I've been to. And I could even now say a few words to you. I could say German car. And I don't want to say any brands, I'm not allowed to. But if you just think of a German car that is very famous, very important, very good, how is it different than any other car from any other company? It's really nothing. They have 4 tires, there is 4 tires. The German car doesn't have 3 tires. It has also 4 tires. The question is, why this one is much more demanded and people actually want it in this region? Because this region, you have to understand, the way I come from with my own content, is I relate to it a lot in my own region. Being in the desert, being in the region of Arabia, the Middle East, which we actually prefer to say the Arab world, just so you know, it's not the Middle East because until today, we don't know which middle are we east of and which east are we middle of. If you ever manage to find out, please let us know because I have no idea. So it is the Arab world. And the Arab world has a significant into it, you know. Just because we live in the desert doesn't mean we have nothing to be bragging about. We do. We brag about everything, you know. We show off, you know. We got the best dunes, we got the best mountains, we got the best palm trees. Did you know we have a beauty pigeon for goats in the region? You know, we are all about, you know, showing off in some positive way that of what we have. So we have quality, and we pay millions for a camel hip, you know. So when it comes to quality, this is the place in the world that actually appreciate quality, and it has to be expensive. No doubt about that. This is how people preserve things in this region, and you could always do a survey and you'll see. But my question is, now if you face a challenge and you have a problem, how are you approaching it? Are you approaching it from you know, an international point of view? Or actually you're going deep into the culture and the local culture of each region and understand how to solve it? My father could have actually very easy just my mom to handle this. And my mom's way of handling this is something that is not very good. You know, she would probably come and hit me or beat me, or she would come be, you're not my son, and if you don't take this major, you will not go to heaven. Done. Simple as that, you know. And because they know me very well, I kind of don't believe in that right away. You got to be speaking to me. You got to really engage me. You got to really, you know, let me feel that I exist. That's how my father came into the picture and tried to actually speak to me and tell me that story of how amazing when I come back and this and that. And oh my goodness, it just worked magic. So I just look at this and I reflect into it all the time. And I say, how do people really want to think quality? Very simple. Look around you, in your own company, into your own management, and ask yourself an honest question. And let everybody to ask the same question. Do you have an A player, storyteller, about your own company, about your own brand, about your own products? Look around you in the company. Does every single person there really understand the significance of how important it is to actually come on time to work, to actually feel this, you know, this organization, to feel it? Some people don't want to spend so much time on this. Personally, I think it's everything in a company. I've been very blessed, 14 years in the making. When I began my career, now some of you probably don't know, but just in case, you know, I run a website called askali.com. I began this 14 years ago. 14 years ago, one day I just woke up and say, you know, this is it. I'm not working for government. I'm not working for anybody. I'm going to work for myself. So what do? I decided to launch a website, just like that. So I go online and I search about my country on Google, Uncle Google, and I said UAE. And Google has like hundreds of thousands of websites about the UAE, obviously. And I click on one link, and it took me to Wikipedia. At that time, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even know what is Wikipedia. I swear, I was thinking that it's a person name. So I go to this website. It was in the beginning of Wikipedia launch, and it says that the UAE flag represents 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gives explanation. And I read the explanation, and it's wrong completely. These colors doesn't represent the way how Wikipedia says. So then what am I going to do? So this is where thinking quality kicked in me without even knowing. And I said, this is it. You know what? I'm quitting my job. This is how it came. And I just started launching my own website. And it's called askali.com. And all what I actually wanted to do was simply to provide real content by a real person from the UAE, so people will no longer say there is no people from UAE who can say something about their own country, because that kind of just built me like very high. I was like, no, we have to have somebody to become a tourist guide and so on. And I launched that website, and since then, ladies and gentlemen, I've been receiving questions. I've reached today 100,000 questions. I'm so blessed that even my books, Ask Ali Mini Guide, have reached 1.7 million around the world of distribution. Never in the history of the region ever any book have kicked that. I had about 300,000 people, 400,000 people as membership on my own website. And of course, the social media kicked in later on. And I was like, oh my goodness, what happened all of a sudden? What did really happen? It was only because the story that I shared from the beginning. I'm just a man from this region who really loves the world and loves people and wants to share about his own culture. And I want to bridge cultures between East and West. That is my story. That is my dream. And that's my motto. I want to wake up every day in the morning greeting and helping people to know us better. And that's very clear to me. And I make sure that everybody meets me every day gets that inspiration from me. Whether you are from this region or from other region, it doesn't matter. We are all here as in people. We all relate to each other. We have to share love. We have to share the peaceful message. And that is my own message. And I will bring this to your own field. When you go into a brand, I ask myself the same question. Why do I go to this brand, not that brand? And when you study about it, and you look, price could be a part of it. The way how, the fashion in this shop or whatever, or this shopping mall, of course there is a lot of elements. However, it makes a difference when you know that some parts of the places that you go to, the powerful message is really within the story of that store. The moment that when somebody went in, there was a smile from somebody in the gate, looked at my child and said, oh, hey, how you doing? And my child, Abdurrahman, went and said, hey, salamu alaikum. And they just had that chat. These moments, the little things, I see them as in stories. And how really some organization, I'll tell you something that could be very silly. Some people don't even go to some shopping mall because for some reasons they feel it's not for them. And that's a disaster. When you create a shopping mall or an experience and you actually make sure that this is not going to be comfy for a certain nationality or a certain group, oh my goodness, this is difficult. And it's not successful in this region. I'll tell you why, especially in Dubai, because with 200 nationalities and being the minority in our own country, in a way, you cannot just say this is only for Emiratis or this is only for this nationality, because Dubai is beautiful because of the 200 nationalities living in here. However, it is also important that you show that appreciation to the culture that you are in. If you are in Saudi Arabia, if you are in Bahrain, if you are in the UAE, Oman, the Gulf region in general, Kuwait, Qatar, anywhere in the region of the GCC region or in the Arab world, if you really do not put a little bit of an effort to understand the culture very well, the appreciation level will be various. It could be less or more. I'm here, and as an Emirati, I could say, look around you here. We have people from around the world, 200 nationalities living, and we are a minority. And you can't see one person going saying, oh, I don't want people from around the world to live here. And that is the story of Dubai. Once again, what is the story of your own company, your own brand? How much information do you know about it? But that's not it. How are you storytelling it to other people? How good you are in actually sharing your own story to other people. And this is my message in regards thinking quality. I know people would probably think, there is any academical part of it in here, but no, actually, there is not much of academical part of this other than be yourself and really believe in the brand that you represent, because sooner or later, people will realize that it's not really true and it's not really strong, and that's where things, fail. I'm going to wrap it up with a story, and this story, I share it whenever I have time, so hopefully there is good time here. It's going to be quick, but it's actually another storytelling, so watch out for this quality story. Ready for this? All right. About 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I can't believe it's been like this. I've been sharing this for such a long time in certain events, but it's been 7 years or 8 years. I meet a lady, her name is Juanita. She comes on my website on askali.com, and she says, can I meet you? At that time, I was single, so you know how it is. You're single. A lady says, can I come see you in your office? You're like, of course. But that was long time ago, okay? Don't tell mother of Abdurrahman. So I said, okay, fine. Yes, here's my address. You're more than welcome to come to my office. So she comes the next morning. My secretary opens the door. She comes in. Hey, salamu alaikum. Oh, hey, que pasa contigo? How you doing? Yeah, so bien. She comes in, tall lady, all of that. But obviously, I was looking at her finger. She's actually married, so too bad. Anyway, but she's tall, tango style lady. So she comes in and she sits down. She was very, very lovely. And she sits down. I'm sitting right there, and she's sitting right here. And right away, the first thing she says, Ali, without any introductions and so on, I want to take you to Colombia. Just like that. I know I'm charming, but I didn't know that I'm that charming that I could, just, tell that lady, okay, fine. So she says, I want to take you to Colombia. And I said, why do you want to take me to Colombia? And she says, well, Ali, we are actually going to launch the embassy here in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. And we thought that we want somebody to represent the UAE culture. And we thought of you. And And I said, oh, that is so kind of you, but who are you? She said, I'm the new diplomat that is actually working on actually setting up the new villa to be the embassy. And I said, oh, okay, and what's needed? She said, we want to take you to Colombia and make a movie about Colombia through an Emirati point of view. And I said, okay, that is amazing. At the same time, there was a voice coming in my head, a voice that is saying to me, ask her the questions. Ask her the question. Don't worry, it's okay. You're not going to offend her. You know what question I was thinking? I was thinking of a question that everybody asks me when I travel around the world. And almost everybody asks you when you come to the Arab world or the Middle East. Which is it safe? And every time I think about this from a cultural point of view, I was asked, who's going to answer this question one day? Is your country safe? No, man, people calling each other on the street, don't come to my country. It's a stupid question, but in a way you have to ask it, right? So I'm like, should I ask it? Because every time people ask me, but this time I'm asking somebody. And it sounds very, very wrong, because at that time, 8 years ago, I never touched a piece of land in Latin America. So it was going to be the first time ever to go to Latin America. And I was like, oh, okay, Ms. Juanita, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. But could I actually ask you a question? Please forgive me if it's going to offend you. Oh, come on, Ali, you will never offend me. Come on, you can ask me any question. Is Colombia safe? She looks at me. Ali, come on, are you serious? What kind of question? She got upset. Well, come on. No, of course, Colombia is the safest nation in the world. There is actually nothing like it. It's just like Abu Dhabi. It's so beautiful. It's so nice. People love life. They drink coffee. They eat chocolate. Everything is so gorgeous there. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that's lovely. I apologize for the question. She said, don't worry. Everything is so beautiful. And I said, okay, that's awesome. So Colombia is beautiful. It's all great. They dance, I have no idea what that means, and they drink coffee and they eat chocolate. Great, thank you. So what's really needed? She says, don't worry, everything is going to be covered, everything is beautiful. There might be only one problem. What kind of problem? Well, recently we've been, are you having problem taking a picture of me? I can stop for you, go ahead. And then she goes, just kidding. Okay, just to make focus on you. So I'm like, Ali, recently we've been actually having some problems with, some gorillas. You have problems with what? The gorillas, right? I know the gorillas, yet, but what do you mean you have problems with why you have problems with the gorillas? Did you say gorillas? Yes, Ali, the gorillas. Yes, I do. Well, these gorillas have been giving us some hard time, against the government, and they just have a problem with everybody. Did you say gorillas? Yes, Ali, the gorillas. I know the gorillas. Well, these gorillas, they actually, having things against the government and the people. Why would the gorillas have a problem with the government and the people? Well, the gorillas, right? They're all over the mountains. Of course they are all over the mountains. Would they be on the beach laying back, drinking, pina colada or something? Of course they will be on the mountains. She looks at me and she says, that's funny, good one. I'm like, no, you're funny. That's a good one. But why would the gorillas? She said, well, they've been actually having a lot of problems against the government because they have needs and demands. The gorillas. Indeed. What? Not enough banana tree in Colombia? They're not having enough, banana? And she looks at me and she said, Ali, please understand, I'm talking about the gorillas. And I said, yes, I know, fine. But you know what I'm thinking, Ms. Juanita, this is an amazing idea. I have some good connection with Animal Planet TV and National Geographic. This will be a fantastic thing to do. And she looks at me like I'm crazy. And she goes, Mr. Ali, what are you talking about? I said, no, seriously, since you have these gorillas, because honestly, I never thought ever that actually Planet of Apes movie is real. All of this time, I thought this American Hollywood movie is fake. I didn't know it's actually real. She looks at me, and at this moment, one of my colleagues at work, she comes from the window. I was inside my office, and there is a glass window, and she looks at me in the back while I'm sitting there with the lady, and she says this to me. I look at her and I say, Miss Juanita, why what's going on there with the gorillas? You're killing the gorillas there? She says to me, I wish. Unfortunately, they are killing us. I'm like, oh my goodness. the gorillas are killing you and you want to take me there? She goes, no, Mr. Ali, don't worry, everything is under control. I said, why everything is under control? She says, well, first of all, these gorillas are bad because they kidnap the people and then they take them, and they put them in a chair in the mountain, and when the gorilla kidnap one of the tourists or something, they bring another gorilla, and the other gorilla has a camera and he's filming this innocent, victim, and this victim person have to say, please save me and help me. And then what happens? They take this tape, the gorillas, and they mail it to the embassy of that nationality of that victim, asking for money. And I'm looking at this, and all what I could think of is like, could you imagine if they actually kidnapped me? I'm hairy. I'm like, we're related. Come on. But all what is challenging me is that how am I going to connect with them, because I don't understand gorilla language, period. I have no idea. So what did I say? I said, what will going to happen if this happened to us? And she goes, don't worry. Everything is now under control. I said, Allahu Akbar, this is amazing. Everything is under control. Why? She says, because we started negotiating with them. Allah Nawar. So you negotiate with them, but how do you negotiate with the gorillas? She says, well, they speak Portuguese, they speak Spanish, they know English, and in reality, you have some also, Arabic gorillas. I swear, we had one gorilla in all of GCC region, by the way, and it existed in the zoo of Al Ain, which is a city that is 130 kilometers away from Abu Dhabi, and her name is Lady, all right, and she passed away. There's no other gorillas, like high mountain gorillas or low mountain gorillas. And then she looks at me and she gives me a smile and she said, yeah, good one, but no, this is really serious. And I said, Miss Juanita, this has been really amazing. I'm ready, but give me some time to think about it. She says, make sure that this whole gorilla thingy is really going to be under control. They will not come close to you. Everything is going to be fine. I said, thank you very much. At this moment, I only can see the same staff, the same colleague. She was there. She's listening to everything. I have no idea why she was listening to that conversation. But the minute, she felt that the conversation is coming to an end, she goes, and then she goes away. And all I'm thinking, why my staff looks at me like I'm kind of a loser, They should be like, this lady is lunatic, But no, I did not. So I said goodbye to Mrs. Juanita. Right away, my colleague comes in. I'm sitting there, of course, when you go such a thorough experience, you're like, my goodness, I can't wait to tell the world about this, And then she comes in, she says, Mr. Ali, what? Sorry to tell you, I've been with you now for all this period, but you looked like a loser. She said something else, but I'm just putting it nicely here, And I said, why you say that? She said, she's not talking about the gorilla. She's talking about the gorilla. I said, you are saying the same word. She says, no, I'm not talking about this gorilla. And I said, how many type of gorillas do we have in this planet? She says, it's not the gorilla, the animal. What is it? It's the guerrilla. It's the word, the other word that represents warriors, thieves, bad people who are living in the mountains. We call them in Arabic shabiha. But the word is so close to gorilla. What have you been thinking? And I'm like, I didn't know that there is another word in English called guerrilla. What is this? Why didn't you tell me? She says, because you did not even ask. Oh my goodness. In case you don't know, because I was just like some of you who did not know what's going on. The word guerrilla, or the way how it's pronounced with G-U-E-R or something like that, is different from gorilla, the animal. There is another word in English, or I think it's French or Latin origin, and it actually means the thieves, the warriors, the revolutionists who actually existed in Colombia at that time. And they called them the guerrilla groups and all of that, and the gangs, and they were causing a lot of problems in Colombia and Latin America in general. And so for me, ladies and gentlemen, beside telling you the quality story, there is a big lesson here, is that, oh my goodness, how many times people do say things to us every day, and we say things to other people, and then you hear somebody says, yeah, I know what you mean. But in reality, they have no clue. They have no idea. How many times do we actually come across saying something into somebody just to influence them and just to engage them into something, and you see them, they just buy it right away without even asking question? Don't believe in those people. Believe people who ask questions. Customers who ask you more questions is very important to you. Don't think that they are actually giving you a hard time. They're actually going to know better, and they're going to tell other people about what is it, of your own brand. And that's what I learned on that story. It's a true story, by the way. And every time I think about it, I cannot imagine how much I have to thank Mrs. Juanita from Colombia. In case you're wondering, I did actually visit Colombia a few years ago, only 3 years ago, and it's completely safe. They have completely, got rid of this whole gangs of guerrillas. It's a beautiful nation, wonderful culture, rich culture, and they did actually launch the embassy. On top of that, in case you're wondering, I did meet, and I became the first Arab to actually come across a silver pack in Rwanda. It was an unbelievable. You could watch the episode online. You can put Durub, which is my program, and you could see Rwanda, and you could see this beautiful, giant, huge. If he's sitting, he's about this size, and he charged on me, and I learned how to speak gorilla. Do you want me to teach you? Whenever you actually come across a gorilla, the number one rule you have to understand, you have to submit. Do not look at a silver pack eye. Keep it away a little bit. So if you were all the silver pack, I would be looking like this, and then I have to say, and that is basically telling the silver pack, I submit, and I'm completely following your rules. And the minute you hear, you basically, you go, he's going to reply and saying, which means I accept you, because I ask for, permission to get into his own zone. I'm not joking, I'm not kidding. That's how powerful a story can be to make people believe in it, and to actually let people to come back to listen more. So I have real experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with one thought. If you actually think that you have a powerful and a beautiful brand, great management, great this, ask yourself, why not share it with other people? Think of a way of how letting the next years to come to let people to share more about your brand than ever before. My name is Ali Al-Saloom. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I wish you all the best.
Ali, fantastic stuff. I told you he was a legend, and I wasn't kidding. Shukran, wonderful to see you. Thank you very much indeed, sir. Now, very quickly, before we break for lunch, some very, very important business. What we have is the ICSC Foundation Scholarship Awards, and also to learn a little bit more about ICSC certification, please join me in welcoming to the stage two very special guests. I want to welcome back to the stage the board president for the Middle East Council of Shopping Centres, Marwan Eskandarani. Marwan, join us please, and also the executive vice president and also managing director for Europe, the Middle East and Africa at the International Council of Shopping Centres, Bill Kistler. Join us please, Marwan and Bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, great. So Bill actually will lead the presentation, or
I think it's more of a duet.
All right.
I'm going to speak in English, and I think you're going to then translate.
I'm going to translate everything in Arabic.
We haven't rehearsed this, so it will be very brief. Let me first start by asking, this is really about talent, it's about education, and it's about development. That's the essence of what certification is. So I want to ask you all, how many of you today in your jobs are doing anything that relates to the education, to the degree you got in university? Well, if you haven't turned around, not a single hand went up.
مين من الحاضرين باليوم بمكان عمله عم يعمل training أو عم يدرس شيء إلى جانب العمل له علاقة بتعليمه؟
And that's probably because there's a hand. There's one hand. So that may be because two things are in as you've heard today, a dynamic, fast-changing, disrupted industry. And education is in fact lifelong.
طبعا وهذا له علاقة بسبب قديش الإنسان أو كلياتنا مشغولين وضغوط العمل والحياة صارت كتير عبء كبير على الجميع فصار من الصعب إنه الإنسان يعمل شيء إلى جانب وظيفته.
And if you, as an individual, aren't, in the theme of this conference, reinventing yourself almost on a daily basis, if you aren't growing, if you aren't learning, and if you aren't developing, you won't be as effective and successful as you can be, nor will your organization.
طبعا يعني نفس الثيم او نفس الفكره اللي بيعتمد عليها الكونفرنس هاي السنه، انه الانسان يعيد ابتكار حياته، يعيد ابتكار طريقه عمله علشان يقدر يقاوم او يتماشى ويتاقلم مع تحديات الحياه الجديده، ويطور نفسه للمرحله التاليه من سواء بعمله او بحياته.
So there are lots of ways that we can continue to learn. This is one of them. But there are more formal, structured ways once we are out of formal education. And one of those is ICSC's professional development, education, and certification programs, which have been very successful in this region.
طبعا في طرق كثير ان الانسان يسعى للعلم والتعليم لا محدوده، وكل جميع طبعا يعرف بهذا الموضوع، لكن في احد الطرق اللي هي لها علاقه بالاندستري تبعنا او بالصناعه تبعنا هو البرنامج اللي بتقدمه المركز العالمي لمراكز التسوق، وبرنامج how old is this program?
Well, ICSC is 70 years. The program is 30 plus years.
البرنامج تقريبا عمره اكثر من 35 سنه ومثبت، وخرج كثير من الناس اللي هم موجودين بالاندستري وارتقوا بمناصبهم الى مناصب اعلى.
And how does it differ from what we all went through in school? Well, the primary difference is it's about best practice, it's about sharing knowledge, it's about learning from your peers, and that is the essence of what ICSC's professional development, education, and certification programs are about.
طبعا والاختلاف بين هذا البرنامج وبين الاشياء اللي ممكن الانسان يتعلمها بالمدرسه او بالاكاديميات هو يعني ان الانسان يشارك الخبرات، ان انا اقدر اتعلم من الاخرين والاخرين يتعلمون مني بالوقت اللي الجميع بيعمل في نفس الوظيفه باماكن مختلفه.
So, in conclusion, the word certification, which is a program that has been very, very successful here, is about certifying that an individual knows what he says he knows. Having a trusted body, in this case ICSC and the MECSC, validating that the skills they bring to your organization are in fact real.
فالكلمة شهادة أو منح الشهادة لشخص أو معين أو هي عبارة عن شهادة من الانترناشونال كونسل اوف شوبينج سنترز، المجلس العالمي لمراكز التسوق، بأنه هذا الشخص يحمل هذه الصفات أو هاي المهارات اللي بده يجيبها أو يضيف قيمة لأعمالكم ولمكان عمله وشخصه.
So I'd like to ask, how many in the room have an ICSC certification?
مين عنده شهادة من International Council of Shopping Centers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, there's clearly more opportunity, and there's much more you can learn and gain from ICSC. I would like to conclude by inviting my boss, ICSC's global CEO, Tom McGee, back on stage to present the ICSC Foundation Scholarship Awards.
طبعا اكيد في ما دام احنا 6 7 اللي رفعوا ايديهم، في كثير فرص كبيره للتعلم الزياده، وبدنا نختم بدعوه توم ماجي اللي هو رئيس مجلس اداره ورئيس المجلس العالمي لمراكز التسوق عشان يشرح لنا المنحه التعليميه للمجلس. توم بليز.
Hi everyone. I am delighted to represent the ICSC Foundation today and present the Foundation Awards. For 27 years, the ICSC Foundation has been reinforcing ICSC's reputation and integrity. Today, as the philanthropic arm of ICSC, the Foundation is dedicated to creating a vibrant retail real estate industry responsive to the needs of its members and communities. Education and community support are the core of the Foundation's initiatives and provide members the opportunity to invest in the future talent of our industry while giving back to the communities they serve. I want to thank all of you from the MENA region who have contributed to the success. Your support is invaluable. Given the changes that we talked about today in our industry, it is more important than ever to promote the development of highly skilled and capable professionals who will lead the industry into the future. commitment to an energetic, diverse industry. It drives our educational programming. The ICSC Foundation scholarships provide monetary support, a myriad of networking opportunities, and recognition to outstanding undergraduate and graduate students, as well as up-and-coming professionals. These awards groom stellar professionals to lead the industry into the future, promote the industry as an exciting professional opportunity, and bring qualified job candidates to the attention of ICSC members. One of ICSC's most far-reaching programs is the John T. Reardon Professional Education Scholarships, geared towards new professionals in the industry. These scholarships offer a week of rigorous study where attendees deepen their knowledge of retail property and shopping centers, learn from experts, share ideas, and identify successful strategies alongside colleagues from around the world. It also includes an all-expense trade trip to their regional recon. We receive hundreds of applications from all over the world for just 17 scholarship spots. I'm delighted to announce that 3 of the recipients this year are from this region. Please join me in congratulating Reje Na Ra Unan and Charbel Salame, and the 3rd recipient, Syed Abdul Ahad, who unfortunately cannot be here today. If I could have Reje and Charbel join me on stage. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Scholarship Award winners. Congratulations once again. Richard?
Tom, thanks very much indeed. Well, the last exercise that I must perform this morning is to say thank you very much indeed for your contributions this morning. Lunch is served on the 3rd floor at Carlton Restaurant. We'll be back here, what are we now? Just gone 1:30. 2:30 sharp we'll begin here. It is a fabulous session on visual merchandising. 3 real experts in the field of visual merchandising are going to be sharing their thoughts and answering your questions. If you were to hire these guys as consultants, they'd charge you hundreds of dollars an hour. This afternoon, you can ask them a question for nothing, and they're obliged to answer because they're going to be sitting in those chairs. We'll see you back here at 2:30. In the meantime, bon appetit.